Welcome to Season 3 of the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. I'm Melyssa with a Y, double board certified lifestyle medicine coach, size-inclusive fitness specialist, author, and speaker dedicated to helping changemakers like you drop the struggle and create a healthy lifestyle you can love. This season, we're diving even deeper into conversations with guests from all arenas of the health and wellness industry, focused on making healthy living feel easy, enjoyable, and sustainable. Through my book, coaching community, online fitness studio, and corporate wellness packages, I'm here to provide the tools, strategies, and support you need to feel your best. Because when you show up as your healthiest self, you're unstoppable. All right, y'all, let's get to it. It is day 4 of Lifestyle Medicine Week 2025, and today I get to introduce you to Kristina. She is a certified sleep coach and a nurse practitioner with a lot of experience, both personally and professionally, with the health benefits of sleep promoting habits. So, if you've heard me share in the past, I truly believe sleep is one of the most foundational pillars to our health. And I'm excited to have this conversation to share with all of you today, to hear from Kristina's perspective and professional expertise about the benefits of healthy sleep, to get that restorative sleep, get you ready and energized for the next day ahead. So I am excited to share this conversation with all of you today. Thanks again for tuning in and enjoy, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. This is our Lifestyle Medicine Week special series, and today's focus is on one of what I think is the most important pillars, and that's sleep health. So we are joined by Kristina, who is going to share a little bit about her story and her journey and why she's so passionate about educating people on sleep health. So Kristina, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Melyssa. It's a pleasure. I follow you, and I think what you're doing is fantastic. Health awareness, but also lifestyle medicine is what ultimately I try to practice in my practice. I'm a nurse practitioner, and sleep was something that wasn't really discussed about 15, let's say, years ago. I started at University of Central Florida. And
Go
I worked,
Knights.
UCF, go Knights. And I worked out there. In the beginning, I had a lot of freshmen that would ask me for sleeping pills. So that's when it all started. And I started researching and thinking, you know what, you're 17, 18 years old. I think what we need to do is let's get more natural. Let's start thinking why you need this and what's going on and why are your grades failing. And so it really was a necessity, but nobody was really discussing it. As a lot of medical students don't get teaching in sleep medicine. You have to do like a whole residency alone, and that's on top of your internal medicine rotations. But it was discussed and we brought it to fruition. And that was like, we started, it was called Getting a Good Night Sleep. So
I love that.
KNIGHT. Yeah, and I had the little Nitro was sleeping under a tree. So I had him under there.
Amazing.
And he's so great. Yeah, Nitro and I go way back, like 20 years at UCF. It was nice. And so what we did is I walked around all the dormitories and I targeted freshmen. Basically, I would have meetings with the RAs and we would bring pizza in the common base room. And of course, you attract all the kids with pizza, the students.
Free
Pizza. So it's like, we're on. I don't care what she talks about. But anyway, we actually had a great turnout and we did some research studies on it. And it did show improvement with our sleep tips. We would give them information, which sleep was the one, probably the top 3 pillars of the most important things you need in longevity or just in life. Is you've got your exercise, your diet, and sleep. What's easy, sleep is the easiest. That's what I always say, Melyssa. I choose that. And God knows when you sleep really well, that's the ticket. I think that's so beautiful. When you wake up refreshed and you're ready to tackle the day, You've been there. There's nothing quite like it,
Yeah,
right?
you feel like a superhero after a good night's sleep where you're like, I can handle anything that comes my way today.
Yeah, and usually you can because your brain is functioning and that's what we really need to focus on. I didn't realize how imperative and how important this was when it was linked to obesity,
Mm,
diabetes, Alzheimer's, cardiac, heart problems, blood pressure problems, and they're linking it to dementia now. So
yeah.
in cancer, which is crazy. So it's so important. And I was lucky to be on that wave of bringing that information to our UCF students. It really worked out nicely. And we would have workshops scheduled for these students. And a lot of them came back and said, you really helped me out. So it's nice to be consulted by my peers and have students come to me instead of asking for narcotics or sleeping aids. We want to go natural for these, for everyone. Now, I will not knock it down. There are places for people to take those
Oh,
medications and
sure.
maybe going through trauma or maybe something happened that
Hmm.
you just can't sleep, which that would be discussed with your primary care physician or your sleep physician, sleep medicine doctor. There's a time and place. But the way I look at it, like you do, lifestyle medicine, you want to start with let's do something more natural and natural based, see what's really happening. And that's
Yeah.
where it started.
I love that so much because, like, ultimately, that is the goal of lifestyle medicine, right? Is to get to the root cause of what's contributing to these problems. And something that I learned that I didn't realize until I was in my clinical internship with the integrative medicine department at a local hospital. And we were doing a study that was delivering cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia for cancer patients and survivors. And it was wild to me to see how much it could make a difference by tweaking some small behaviors and thought patterns that you have in your life. And it was just such an eye opening experience for me as a student at the time. I was stressed out about my grades and stuff like that. So it really does not only support your health, but it supports your performance and it supports recovery and healing. Like sleep is a true foundation of our health. And I think that's what I would love to tag into next is when people are listening to this episode and maybe they're thinking like, "Oh, I don't need that much sleep. I can function fine off of 4 to 5 hours," because I know I've heard phrases like that before. What do you wish people knew about sleep for our health, for our well-being, for our mental wellness? Anything like that you'd like to share?
Remember that, and this is a good kind of segue to why sleep's so important. It's actually basically clearing out toxins from your brain. Yes, sleep improves memory. Yes, we've linked that to research based. It's been documented and it's evidence based medicine that your memory is improved when you sleep and your learning is improved. Cognitively, it's so important. And that was the other piece of this was that I didn't want these students to drive off the road sleeping because just like drunk driving, sleep deprivation can be just as deadly. So
Mhm.
that was the other piece to why I wanted to start this at UCF because at the college, because there are so many cognitive deficits if you're not sleeping correctly. So you can get by 4 hours, maybe five for a couple nights, but technically by the third, fourth night, you're almost they've actually done studies which show that you're just as legally intoxicated at
Mhm.
that feeling that you get, and you're going to nod off. Your body will shut down whether you like it or not. You could be driving, you could be walking.
Right.
So it's not only dangerous, but to your health, but also it can prevent a life-threatening problem, some kind of accident or something that could be life-changing for you.
Yeah.
So it can be deadly. Basically, you want to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Every cycle is 90 minutes, right? So you need 5 cycles. And there's a graph basically that talks about, I call it my Da Vinci slide, which I show in my presentations, and it has the guy with Da Vinci, and he's got 6 in the morning, let's say, you wake up, your blood pressure starts to rise, your bowel movement likely, then you've got your most alert at 10 o'clock. So you've got different stages. The 24-hour clock will have an internal clock, circadian rhythm, as you've heard. And you've got to have all those cycles because you want the good and there's REM and non-REM. So you want a combination of both. But we can talk about that later. But the whole point is to get the proper amount of feeling great and having that clear, bright mind, and also your affect and your whole emotional stability. It affects anxiety also, and feeling anxious and snapping at people. How many times have you done that in relationships where you're not sleeping, so you lash out at the kids or your spouse or your significant other?
Right.
It damages the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so many negatives to not getting the proper amount of sleep, but the most important one, not only safety, but flushing out toxins through the brain, cerebellum, and really getting that quality REM and non-REM, which is so important for memory consolidation and being safe. So that's the main goal, is to get the right proper amount of sleep hours.
Yeah. And I want to clarify for our audience, we're not talking about spending 7 to 9 hours in bed. Like, we're talking about actually spending that time asleep while you're in bed too. Because I know that's a common struggle that people face, is either they have difficulty falling asleep or they wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and then they're laying there tossing and turning thinking, oh, I'm never going to get back to sleep now. So I know those are some common sleep difficulties that people tend to face. Kristina, what kinds of strategies can people implement to start improving their sleep health, whether it's getting more time spent asleep, feeling more rested, any of those common challenges that might be faced, or red flags to be aware of for possible sleep disorders? I think that could be good for us to touch on too.
So the most significant idea and things that I would like you to incorporate in your sleep hygiene is, I've always told my patients this, is after, let's say you're laying there, after 20 minutes, you can't fall asleep. So the best thing to do, and adrenaline kicks in. So the best thing to do is get up, go to a room, start reading with a dim light. Only go back to bed when you're nodding off. The caveat is you have to set up a sleep schedule. So let's say you're going to bed by 10 o'clock. You unwind about 9:30. We'll touch base on these sleep hygiene tips. That's super important. But my point is, if you have to go back to bed at 4 in the morning and you got to get up at 5 or 6, you got to do that. So your body will readjust. But the point in that is, you're not laying there with anxiety thoughts in your brain and going, oh my God, I forgot to do this. Oh no, I need to do. The other thing that helps a lot is journaling. Keep a piece of paper next to your bed with a pen and write down, right before you go to bed, write down all the things, like a to-do list. I even have one of these. Right?
Oh, I love that.
And with my little kitty cat. But you gotta have coffee for, no, I'm kidding. Have coffee first. But no, so you leave this by your bed and you write everything down before you go to sleep. And this way you're tucking away all that anxiety and all those things that have to be here onto the paper, which you've got it covered the next day. So you're not laying there thinking about all these things. I totally believe in meditation before you go to bed, maybe prayer. People swear by having warm temperature baths or showers, lowers your body temperature, which is good. You keep your room temperature in the 70s. You want it cool. But there's all kinds of things. The most important thing is schedule. So try to keep a schedule every day, even on the weekends. You want to do, if you go to bed 9 or 10, you want to unwind. That's a really good tip. But again, if you're laying there 20 minutes, no more, got to get up, go to a room, start reading with a dim light, go back to bed only when you're nodding off. And hopefully that will stop those anxiety thoughts and things that during the night where you have to rearrange your sleep schedule. The next tip would be when you get up, make sure you get a full dose of sunshine. Let's say you're driving to work, you need at least 20 minutes, and that rearranges your sleep clock, the circadian.
Oh.
It's really interesting because your brain, the pineal gland, will notice that light. And it's amazing what our brain does. Our brain is phenomenal. I'm reading a book now, and it's by Antonia Zadra and
Oh.
Robert Stackpole. It's When Brains Dream. And I'm going to be
Ooh.
doing like a little, I want to do, I think, a workshop about exploring the science and mystery of sleep and maybe dreams. I think that
Yeah.
would be a really cool topic to talk about, because how many times we have dreams we want to interpret that. But the brain is amazing, and how much we can connect with that pineal gland and that light, that little piece of light. So I don't really approve of night lights. I have one in my bathroom, but I'd rather have the patient not have the night light really close by,
Oh,
because that
sure.
will impact. But you can always wear a sleep mask or things like that nature.
Yeah.
But that will help. So yeah, that's a tip for when you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And hopefully that's going to reshape that schedule.
Yeah, there's a couple things that you said that I wanted to touch on too, because I know people are going to think that it sounds so counterintuitive to get up out of bed when you're trying to get to sleep. But you highlighted such an important point that, the more time that we spend awake in bed, the more that we're confusing our brain and our body, right? Because we're in the place that we're supposed to be sleeping, but we're awake, and now we're worrying, and now we're stressed, and all of those are not compatible with sleep. So
Correct.
really creating that bed and that bedroom environment as like a sacred place for sleep.
Perfect.
So being able to remove yourself, going and doing a relaxing activity. I've found that instead of reading, because sometimes if I pick up a good book, like I'll be awake a lot longer than I should be. I've found that doing some gentle stretching is something that works really well for me. And just maybe having a little bit of lavender essential oil that I just do a small bit of aromatherapy to help me like relieve some stress and tension. So I love that you shared that too, because it really is about being aware of some of our behaviors that we might not know are impacting our sleep. And that's a big one, is staying in bed and being awake when you're trying to get to sleep, because then you get frustrated and you're tossing and turning, you're watching the clock. Oh, people, please stop watching the clock.
Turn that around, or don't have that glaring cell phone light. That's
Right.
another one. Turn it this way.
Yes.
Technically you don't even want to have the cell phone there. Of course, if it's
Yeah.
emergency, I get it. But any blue lighting is horrible. It's toxic. So yes, sleep, bed, bedroom, all that is your sanctuary. That's what I believe in. Keep your
Yeah.
bedroom your spa, your sanctuary. Always have it so inviting and cool colors. That's another thing. People don't realize that their walls could be maybe sage green, like yours are, beautiful, or like a beige or something that's cool coloring.
Right.
I love that, because if you have harsh or reds or very violent, very alive colors or oranges or things like that, they've done studies that the brain can't shut down properly. Reds, that type of thing. But aromatherapy, I believe in. I love aromatherapy. I also love music therapy. That
Yes.
helps a lot. I'm actually going to be certified. I'm going to learn how to do sound bowl therapy.
Oh,
And I want to
wow.
introduce that to my patients too, because I
Yeah.
think laying, like even with water, like laying on a raft. And my idea would be is to have everyone, when it's maybe 7 or later on in the day when it's not so hot, and you have the sound bowl, and you have people where either you're looking up to the stars, or even if you have beautiful, just listening to the sounds of the sound bowl, the frequencies can help calm you down. So anything that you can do, lavender, anything that will basically calm your whole body and mind down, shutting down quietly and not fast. Because People want everything quick. They want a quick, instant option, but it really takes time. So that's why we say half an hour at least, put your PJs on, do a routine. Maybe that signifies the brain, hey, I'm going to sleep. So that helps. Little things like that, people don't realize how the brain is wired. And they think, wow, okay, now brushing your teeth. Okay. And as you do these routines, your body starts to slowly appreciate and start thinking, I'm going to sleep mode.
Absolutely.
And the mattress and pillows, people don't realize how important that is.
Yep.
Even basic. If you have a flat pillow, you need support. Or if you're having problems with your knees, then support your knees to relieve the lower back pain. So there's all kinds of tricks that you can do that will help the mind readjust because you are laying down. And another trick is I told my elderly patients not to jump up out of bed because that will really signify a jolt and that can get very dizzy and they can fall. So you want to go slowly up into the side of the bed. And that's really nice to have a better awakening mode than just jolt out of bed or having an alarm that's really horrible.
Right. That's jarring and
jarring. Yeah. Anything like that. People use blackout curtains too, and that helps sometimes. There's so many different things, but I thought the colors of the wall were important too. You wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, your environment plays a huge role in your health in general. And so thinking about how is my bed and my bedroom environment helping to support my sleep? And there's some amazing tips in there. We have the sleep scheduling. So just even paying attention to what your sleep patterns are when you're going to bed, when you're waking up, how long it's taking you to fall asleep. All of that is really helpful in building awareness around where you might be able to start making some changes. The nighttime routine is great too, being able to help mentally and physically prepare your mind and body for a good night's sleep and relieving that tension from the day. Getting that sunlight in the morning to help sync your circadian rhythm, like evaluating your environment, the colors on the wall, the pillow, the mattress. All of these are such amazing tips and strategies. And so if people are starting to work on making some positive changes, but things just don't seem to be working, or maybe they're experiencing something that they're concerned about, what would be some of those common red flags of potential sleep disorders that people should really pay attention to?
So if you're sleeping with a partner, obviously the partner maybe would notice, let's say you're gasping for air, you're snoring. That snores has obstructive sleep apnea, but it's a signal, and that's a red flag that maybe you might be obstructing your airway. If you do stop breathing, then absolutely get somebody, a sleep medicine physician, to even your primary care can refer you for a sleep test, and they do them at home now. So it's been very convenient for a lot of folks that can't drive out
Go to the lab
a
and
sleep lab. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
I've done those. I just had one in December on myself, and it was really interesting. Yeah. And they put electrodes, and there's no way you can't sleep because they put you're wired and you're just laying there and okay, you're ready to sleep. And you're thinking, I can't even. But I think that they've gotten a little bit better now. And there's all kinds of gadgets. I can't really promote one or the other, like the Oura Ring or different things that help with your sleep. But there's so many things that are out there. You can just look into those things. But as far as red flags, I would think the most important thing would be your sleep patterns and noticing you're not as refreshed during the day. That's another red flag. You fall asleep sitting in a light, then that's another red flag. Let's say you're falling asleep after a meal. There's things that are linked to narcolepsy. There's things that are linked to insomnia. What I would probably suggest is instead of thinking of all these horrible things, or do not Google any of this, because you're going to go to Google MD and be like half of my students that come to me and say, I read this and I'm going to die in 2 days. I said, no, you're not. You'll be fine. But I would just recommend following up with your physician, your primary care physician, and saying, hey, check in with them, or a nurse
Yes.
practitioner, and check in with them and say, hey, I've noticed I'm not sleeping that well. Is there any way I could possibly maybe get referred or do a sleep study? Or if there's obviously, if there's sleep problems in the family, you want to
Yeah.
get checked out, or cardiac problems in the family. And just knowing your body and how you react, usually you can tell whether you've had a really good rest for the week or not. It could be a temporary stressful week, let's say. But if it continues and you're getting more tired, I think those are really big signals to me
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
provider. And noticing that you're just not remembering things as clearly, or memory cognitive problems, that would be a bad trigger. I think that would be something that would alert my, as a caregiver or somebody, if I'm taking care of someone or my parents, or you do get some folks that are older, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it could be a cognitive default or a problem. It could be a sleep issue.
Right.
The other thing I want to talk about too is anxiety, because a
Mm.
lot of this is linked to depression and anxiety. And often the physician or nurse practitioner, I usually tell my colleagues, ask them, are they sleeping well? Because this is linked
Yep.
together. Your anxiety, you're waking up, you're not sleeping, therefore you're more anxious. So it can be a really round circle, and that can be very toxic to your
Yeah.
health. And you've probably, I think all of us have experienced at one point in our lives where we're so anxious that we can't sleep or
Right.
eat. And once it starts affecting your mind, I think that's when you need to start checking it out with your either physician or nurse practitioner, or somebody that is a professional and can actually maybe do a PHQ-9 or some kind of more suggestive, clear testing done on anxiety, because a lot of people don't sleep because of that, and
Yeah.
vice versa. They are more anxious and then they don't sleep, or they don't sleep and then they're more anxious. So
Right.
that is another area we need to talk about as practitioners is, how did you sleep? Because a
Yes.
lot of times you don't want to put somebody on antidepressants when they don't really need it.
Right.
I'm not a proponent on just giving them a medication without looking at their lifestyle. Again, that's connected with lifestyle medicine. How are you sleeping?
Yeah. Yeah, because they can work, but they're probably going to have side effects that could lead to other symptoms that prescribed additional medications for. And so,
Correct. And that's the cycle.
yeah,
That's something that and yes, if you do need it, obviously,
exactly.
I say go for it. It's something that you need to look at. But chronic anxiety can cause heart problems, stroke, mental illness. Chronic mental illness can cause so many issues. And I'm a big advocate for helping those. I've been through some tragic things in my life, changed my life. And I got, when you have to go through things like that, going through psychotherapy or talking with somebody that's a professional to try to work on that for yourself. Because that is such a big component of stress in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, if we don't exercise or eat right or sleep, it's going to make it monumental and it'll take over. And you don't want that. You want to live a healthy life.
Yeah, that's so true and very timely considering that May is Mental Health Awareness Month and this is released during Lifestyle Medicine Week. And I can vividly remember during my master's training, we were doing like our clinical rounds and stuff. And one of the case studies that was shared was someone who was potentially going to be diagnosed with a learning disorder. And they started recapping like this person's life, and they had 3 different jobs. They were going to school full time. And that was the question that popped up for me because I was working on studying to get board certified in lifestyle medicine. And I was like, wait, when are they sleeping? And sure enough, in the questionnaire, it was saying that they were sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours a night on a consistent basis. And obviously, we're going to have sleep deprivation at different parts of our lives. Newborns when they're in the house, or when you're out on vacation, you're having fun partying late at night and waking up early
Yeah.
for excursions. But it's really those chronic issues like you're sharing that we need to pay attention to. And sure enough, once she started engaging in some sleep hygiene habits, and I can't remember if she was prescribed meds from her provider or not, but she didn't have a learning disorder at all. It was just she was so sleep deprived that her cognitive functioning was just at the level that you would think she had a learning disorder. So yeah, just something that really stuck with me to show the power behind these simple changes in our lifestyle that can lead up to significant changes over time and lifestyle transformations. So people are kind of listening to this episode and now, they're thinking, oh, I would love to get started with changing some of my habits to sleep better, or maybe finding time with my provider to get screened for potential sleep disorders. When we're thinking about actually bringing this information into our lives, what are some of the resources that you would recommend people engage in, or like those next steps for getting started?
So the go-to that I like, I use nationalsleepfoundation.org, and that's a really good foundation for anyone that they talk about sleep and travel, about jet lag. That's a whole different going to Europe or wherever and that with vacations starting in the summer, that's another topic that's very important to know. You can actually get more information from that website on with newborns or sleep and the elderly. They have so many different topics that are so interesting. How to keep your bedroom a sanctuary, tips that we talked about briefly.
Yeah.
They go into detail, and that's who I basically recommend to use. I do just a lot of research I have some people that I connect with LinkedIn, and they're professors out at Arizona University, and they do a lot of research studies on the latest on, let's say, with narcolepsy or insomnia or organic brain syndrome, which they're linking that to lack of sleep and sleep deprivation, which is it's really scary, even Alzheimer's. Those are just some things that I think would help is to read more, start looking at evidence-based articles that are with Journal of Medicine. And there are some good organizations, the American Sleep Academy Association, that's a really good one. And so there are wonderful areas that you can look into. And of course, they can always get in touch with me and I can help them navigate through a lot of these issues as a provider that would help them in giving that monumental task of trying to find where do I go with this kind of an issue. It's difficult.
Yeah. And that actually dovetails nicely into the next question that I was going to ask was if people would like to connect with you, what are some of the ways that they can find you, and what are some of the things that you're working on for sleep health?
I love lifestyle medicine. I'm actually looking into certification too. I think it's one of the most important areas of medicine that is life-changing because it gives people the autonomy and the power to change their lifestyle and longevity. Longevity is everything that we strive for. I have a website called sleepforthesoul.com. They can reach me there. I also have an Instagram, Sleep for the Soul, that I try to post some sleep data that we come across. Right now, I'm part of the Lake Nona Performance Center, and I'm on their medical board. So we're starting this is more for cancer survivors and thrivers, but we're going to have a component about sleep. So if you are a member of the gym, May 18th, we're going to be talking about ways to help and connect to help cancer thrivers, survivors, and caregivers, give them that ability to connect with other people going through some things that are very difficult. As far as my personal journey, I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer was August of 2023, and I just finished 19 rounds of chemo. It's been a very long journey, and sleep was a big issue for me. So I had to go through all these teachings myself that I had to go through and put them to use. And it was really interesting to see with chemo how that mix goes. But everything is much better now, thank God, and I'm cancer
Yay.
free. And so
Yay,
I'm
that's
really happy.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm really happy, and my family's happy. And it's been a journey to learn how to be patient. I had to learn that it was the hardest lesson for me as a caregiver and wanting
Mhm.
everything now and trying to have a good outcome right away. It didn't go that way. So I had to have another year of chemo, and it was, how do I deal with that?
Mhm.
So sleep was very important for my healing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they can join me. I basically, through the website and through my Instagram, I'm probably going to be super busy in August as I start my new role working, yeah, at UCF with the medical students and the new nursing students out at Lake Nona.
Amazing.
So I'll be their provider, and that's an honor to me
Yeah.
because it's going to be something that's we're pioneering and never had nurse practitioner start the clinic out there. So I'm really looking forward to that, Melissa. And
Yeah.
but I wanted to thank you for having me talk about what I do, what my passion is.
Of
And it's
course.
always been helping people. I think I was telling you earlier, nurses, teachers, firemen, policemen, people that help others never take care of themselves. Or
Mhm.
caregivers too. I think I was a caregiver with my mom.
Yeah.
And that was another lesson I had to learn is, self-care is so important. So if you can remember anything from this podcast is that if you do help yourself, make sure that sleep is a priority. I want you to make that a priority. That's my message to all the listeners here. You have to put that first
Yeah.
because that is going to help you in your health journey and give you longevity. There's so many benefits in having good sleep. And I really honestly believe that it can change your life for the better and make
Mhm.
you more sharper and less anxious and more more joyful, just
Mm.
more happier. And that's what we all want is peace and have more love in our lives and our families and that doesn't really cost you pretty much for free. And
Yeah.
it's easier than diet or exercise.
Right.
I will say sleep is easier. For thank
Yeah.
you again. That's really nice that you're doing this.
No, of course. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your story with us and for the impactful work that you've been doing for so long and impacting people's lives to get them to sleep well and get their sleep for their soul. Because
Yeah.
I think in the culture and society that we live in sometimes where it's that mentality of I gotta hustle and grind and everything and I'll sleep when I'm dead. And it's if you're not getting some good sleep, that part might come sooner rather than later. And I don't think you want
Yeah.
that.
They say it's like you think about it and you say, what why do I need we've got a 24/7 technology right now. We can on a at 3 in the morning we can order food. We can go order Amazon. It's
Yeah.
everything's open to us. So
Yeah.
it's never shut down where the other like a long time ago, even let's say 30, 40 years ago, closed the store was closed, it's closed. Sundays you had church, you had family time. And now everything is hustle bustle and it's not our fault. It's just that we've got AI kicking in. Now we've got more technology. We've got
Right.
space shuttles going every 5 minutes. We've got so many things, our political venue, everything that can make us aware of more stress
Right.
and all of that jumbled together. That is even more where you need to tune out and get yourself a lot of rest and good
Mhm.
quality sleep because it's only going to get busier.
Yeah.
And I think if we can catch it now and learn how to get a really good, proper night's sleep, we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And so that's my mission is to try to get yourself some good Z's is what I call it. So,
Yes, I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, because we're more connected than ever and we're busier than ever and we're just at this point in society where the healthy choice isn't always the easy choice. So, Kristina, I love to wrap up our guest episodes by asking, how do you bring the healthy living doesn't have to suck message into your life and or work?
So everybody wants to look great, feel great, live longer, be healthy. What does that actually mean? So to me, if somebody offered me, let's say $5 million or being healthy, which one would I choose? I know that your health is the most important thing on ever in your life. So for me to feel as if I am doing a great job, I'm feeling really good and I'm feeling healthy, I totally believe that you can do what you're passionate about, but tweak it in a way where your lifestyle will accept and allow your choices, and the choices that you make in your life will be positive and geared towards making yourself the most healthiest person you can in this world, because you cannot buy your health. There's nothing you can do with that. Of course, you can buy all kinds of things with the $5 million, but I've learned myself, if you actually are healthy, I think that would give you the most joy in your life. So it doesn't have to suck. You can actually do things that you love to do. Like for me, my obsession is aqua Zumba. I've learned that, and now and I'm learning pickleball, which is fun. And trying to figure out what I'm dreaming about. Do fun things that you love that stimulate your lifestyle and give you that healthy edge. Because as you get older, remember your joints, your bones, everything is going to start working differently. So you want to prepare your body and your mind so it can continue to give you the best life possible. So do what you're passionate about. Do fun stuff for exercise. Do things that doesn't have to be running 30 minutes a morning every morning. You can just tweak it to your lifestyle and do something. Nobody has this in stone. Eat healthier foods, but eat something that you love. Right? That would be, and you're going to stick to it, because if you're pushed or forced into doing something, it's going to suck. So that's what I say, is do something that's fun, but healthy.
Kristina, we so appreciate the time that you've taken to share with us, and we are just so grateful to have you here to highlight the sleep pillar of lifestyle medicine. So we really appreciate your time and your knowledge and expertise.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, change makers, that is it for today's episode, day 4 of Lifestyle Medicine Week. So keep it real, stay positive, and get sleeping well, y'all. As a quick, friendly reminder, the information in these podcasts are always strictly for educational purposes only. Thanks so much for listening, changemakers. And if you can please remember to head to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review. It will help this podcast reach other changemakers so they can start listening and tuning in each week. As a bonus, if you've been wanting to make healthier choices but don't feel like you have the time or even know where to start, make sure you check out my Lifestyle Medicine Mini Makeover. It's a free 7-day email series designed to help you take small, powerful steps toward better health that can fit into your busy lifestyle. Each day, you'll get an email that educates you on one of the lifestyle medicine pillars, along with a simple mini challenge to put what you learned into action. If you're ready to level up your health with lifestyle medicine, then sign up now at healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/makeover, and let's do this together. By the end of this week-long challenge, you will have success in showing yourself that healthy living doesn't have to suck.